I was doing some medical planning work with the NDA actually. And then I get the call from the vice president's office that we would like you to come and fill this position.
Hey, it's Michelle with the Medicine Couch. I just wanted to hop in really quick and let you know that this is the second half of a two-part interview with an amazing PA named Saibatu Mansaray. In part one, she talks about what it's like to work in the White House and to treat the President of the United States. She has so many more incredible stories to tell us in this half of the interview. But if you haven't seen part one, you might want to watch that one first because some of the things she says in this video makes more sense if you've seen the first half. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button down below if you like this content. You retired from the military, right?
Yes.
So then tell us about this next role that you transitioned into, still working in the whole White House arena.
Yeah, so I ended up working for Vice President Pence as his director of advance. Same thing almost as the director of operations for the White House medical unit, but I was sort of like doing an operations role. So nothing clinical in this position. Same thing for overseas, same thing for domestic travel, same thing if he was going just across the street. Somebody needed to be there to receive him, walk him through, know where the bathroom is, know who he's going to be talking to, who's going to greet him, what this conversation, how long is he going to be there, what's the setup look like, pictures of what the setup's going to look like, the mic. I mean, there's so much more operational, thought into that work, again, to ensure that the vice president is able to complete his job and he's safe, right?
That particular job with Pence, it's a completely civilian, non-medical role.
Mm-hmm.
I assume that you got access to know about that job because of your, the roles that you were working in the White House.
They picked me for the position. I was retired and moving on. I was doing some medical planning work with the NBA, actually. That's where I was trying to go to do what I was doing at the White House with the NBA. So I just did a trip with them to Mexico. And then I get the call from the vice president's office that we would like you to come and fill this position.
So do all NBA teams, and I assume this would go for like Major League Football and baseball, they have positions similar to like the White House where somebody has to figure out the medical plan when they're traveling. Is that correct? So you're saying?
Yes.
Didn't even know that existed.
Yes. They primarily rely on doctors to do it because now remember, you're now in the civilian world with licensings and all of that. In the military standpoint, our licensings and where we can practice is just kind of anywhere, right? So we didn't have a lot of those red tape issues with the NBA and all these other organizations. There is that, right? You will have to have a doctor who is going to be your guy that you're going to be calling because they don't have a White House medical unit. They don't have that.
Right.
They just have a list of doctors and they call them and say, hey, we, team is going X, Y, and Z. Can you go? And then that doctor then flies to that. So the doctors do more of the advanced work compared to the PAs doing it because of the liability issues. That's where they kind of come in. But I was able to do it. I did one or two with them to Mexico, and it was absolutely fun. It was similar to the White House, and they got to see a different side of what we do from a PA standpoint that they were very impressed with. Because I think sometimes PAs are minimized in civilian world, right? They don't understand how much we can do. Yeah, I would imagine the NFL has it as well, but a lot of them are their doctors are who do it for them. And that's something we have to penetrate as PAs at some point. We'll be able to get that going. Yeah.
Well, thanks for being a trailblazer in yet another arena. That's awesome. Making us PAs look good. Okay, so then after that, tell us about working with I'm looking at my notes again, the White House Office of National Drug Control Policy.
So the title is Assistant Director for Public Health, but I was the Chief Public Health Advisor to the Director of Office of National Drug Control Policy. So serving as that Chief Public Health Advisor, I was integral to the development of the President's 2020 National Drug Control Strategy. So I was a senior executive in that position, so I provided leadership, management, and evaluation to the public health team that I was running. And we developed drug policies to prevent and reduce the illicit use of drugs. So we were focused more on demand reduction, where you're working more with Congress on that issue, providing, again, strategic direction and guidance to 33 governmental agencies so we can maximize the resources, the effectiveness, the teamwork in public health drug policy. But we also did that on the civilian side. a lot of the drug reduction, sort of, we call them that, advocacy organizations, they also had tasks as well, right? We work with them hand in hand on what they can do in their own little world to make sure that we reduce the demand for drug use. But the clinical side kicked in on the prevention side, when we're talking about misuse and abuse of actual prescription medications, right? How we as providers are prescribing, right? So I had to work with a lot of medical organizations. I even work with the PAEA. What are you guys doing to prepare PAs when they graduate to ensure that they're ready to take on treating patients with substance use disorder, right? Talking about that stuff, getting their X waiver, all of those things, right? I talk to coroners. What are you seeing in all of these deaths? What is the common drug that you're seeing? Because then I work with the supply guy on, this is the problem, right? The drug that's coming up the most is fentanyl. It's coming up. So you're talking to so many people about different things, public health entities within states. What are they doing? The naloxone response. How are we doing, especially when we're dealing with people in prison? What's the healthcare system like for those in prison as far as substance use disorder is concerned? Because there are certain prisons that didn't support, treatment options, right? Because they're thinking that we're just replacing one drug with another drug, a street or illicit drug with another drug. So educating them on that, working with Department of Education. I mean, I tell you, you look at some of these agencies, you're like, oh, I wouldn't have imagined that a role. Department of Education has a role as well in prevention when we talk about schools, right? How do we get these kids, not just the video, don't do drugs are bad, right? What else are we doing? Community efforts, drug-free communities. So it's a very big role.
Not only do we have great clinical education, but I think people forget that we have a master's degree. Like, we just think of it as, our PA program, but it's a master's degree, which puts us in a higher echelon of people who have degrees in the United States. And so if you're interested in public health and you're interested in legislation and advocacy and things, you bring a lot to the table. So people shouldn't be afraid to go try to be involved with these organizations or apply for the positions. Even if it's a job that's not practicing medicine, we still have a lot of skills that we're prepared to be able to do those jobs.
Definitely. This position is a civilian position. This has nothing to do with work at the White House. I just was at the White House, the position opened up, and I competed with, just like everybody else competed for the position as well. So, and I didn't even know anybody there. So it's not a connection thing. It goes out on those U.S. Job things. I don't.
USA Jobs or something like that.
USA Jobs. Yeah. And they're posted there all the time. So we as PAs, we should be scouting out those positions, and not just at the White House, because those same public health positions are in other governmental agencies, whether it's Department of HHS has it, Commerce has it, or your state level. But even at the other departments, the VA, all of them. When I talk about 33 governmental agencies I was working with, all of those people are civilians, filling those positions. So it's open to anyone.
Yeah. So if people are looking for, they've been doing clinical work and they're looking for something else, PAs can work in advocacy. So this has led to your career that you are currently in, which you have started your own foundation there in Sierra Leone, right? The Mansaray Foundation. Can you tell us a little bit about that, why you started it and what the goal of the foundation is?
Definitely. So I am one who lost 2 aunts to maternal mortality. Sierra Leone is listed among one of the highest maternal mortality ratios in the world and one of the most dangerous places to give birth. And so the Mansaray Foundation was born of the fact of a personal loss to begin with, and the fact that nothing has changed since then. And so the Mansaray Foundation's vision is a Sierra Leone where the maternal mortality ratios are among the lowest 5 in Africa. Sierra Leone right now has 717 out of 100,000 live births that are dying, right? 1 in 73 women die that go to give birth. That's absolutely unacceptable, right? Yeah. So the foundation is focused on bringing us to the level where we're in the lowest 5 in Africa, right? And how do we go about that? I'm focused more on a grassroots sort of approach to the problem, right? Focusing on biological, but also the social aspect, the biosocial concept, right? Yes, it's postpartum hemorrhage. Yes, it's obstructed labor. Yes, it's sepsis. Yes, it's hypertension. But what about the social context of it, right? All those things exist. We have a poor healthcare system here, so we have to figure that part out. But there's also the social context where the woman who decides to deliver at home, how do I get that woman to go to the clinic and not delivered home where there's no resources, right? So we try to focus a lot on education, whether it's for the staff to improve the quality of care, to improve access to care, and to improve the resources within clinics, right? So those are our three pillars. I've been on ground since December of 2020. We're in two chiefdoms and we're working strictly in the rural areas because that's where the disparity truly is. They're the disadvantaged, they're the marginalized population. We've focused a lot on the buy-in from the community. We want you to own the problem for sustainability issues, right? I'm here to bridge the gap between knowledge and you making sure that this is sustainable and just teach them how to fish. It's a complex problem. And we know that we can't do it on our own. So we rely a lot on a multi-stakeholder approach as well. We've partnered with GIZ to get solar systems put into these two clinics. We have a medical advisory board that does a lot of our education stuff, and they're filled with PAs. We have doctors on that board. We have midwives. We have a psychologist. We're about to bring on a nutritionist because we also know that nutrition is a very big impact when it comes to maternal and neonatal complications. We've secured land, agricultural land, so that we're able to grow crops and raise animals because the women are very malnourished. The children under 5 are very malnourished, and the lactating woman, she can't even make it to 6 months of breastfeeding. We do a lot of outreach, where we're educating them and also just, encouraging them access care early, right? And most rural communities, they rely more on the traditional healer than they do the clinic. One, because of proximity. It's a lot easier to go to the guy across the street than it is to trek 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 miles to get to the clinic, right? So I'm going to go see the traditional healer. And I'm pregnant, I'm a teenager, I want to hide it. So instead I'm going to go to the traditional healer to do this unsafe abortion. He gives me this thing to drink, he does whatever he does, and then the woman dies within 6 weeks. So education is super important, right? For the youth, we started a WhatsApp group where we send out sexual reproductive health education and then open it on Friday for them to ask questions because our culture has limited us. It's almost taboo to talk about sex or your menstrual cycle or things of that nature. It's like, oh, no, we don't talk about that. And so where young people are getting their information from is from their peers. And all of it is wrong. 90% of it is wrong, what they're saying, right? So education is super important across the board, and health promotion is very important. And we've kind of taken on that role to include trying to make sure that we reduce the maternal deaths as quickly as we can by making sure that these clinics have the resources that they need, that women are accessing the clinics, making sure the men are involved as well, and then the quality of care by making sure the clinical staff are up to speed, right? So we've kind of done that, and we've been successful thus far.
That's awesome. If people watching this want to help out and get involved, what can they do?
Oh, where do I begin? Please, I need this. Is this being recorded? So first and foremost, you can go to our website, www.mansarayfoundation.org, and hopefully, Michelle, you'll be able to post that
I'll put
somewhere.
that in the links below. Yeah.
Perfect. You can also support us through donations, whether it's financial donation, you can go through the website to donate. We have Zelle, we have Venmo, we have PayPal. We want to make sure all of our bases are covered to make sure you have no reason not to, right? We do monthly fundraising events as well, where we kind of, raise a little bit of funds towards a certain campaign. Or we also do, donations in kind. It's not always about money. Money doesn't fix every single thing. So if you have old phones, old laptops, you have connections with medical, logistical companies, hospitals that are trying to throw away delivery beds and ultrasounds. Oh, I've had this ultrasound for 20 years. We'll take it, right? Anything that will support logistically, that will support us in our work, we'll take it financially or in kind, right? We are happy to do that. It's a 501c3 organization, so it's tax exempt. But we also, we want people to serve on our medical advisory board, right? Bring in some expertise to our board to make sure that we get to that vision of reducing our maternal mortality ratios. Lend your voice. Social media ambassadors, someone that's just reposting, what we're resharing, what we're posting, whether it's on LinkedIn, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on Instagram, just being our social media ambassador. You lending your voice is also of great help to us as well, right? So it's not just about money again. Raising awareness helps as well.
Right. Because you never know when you share with what chain reaction that's going to start. Somebody else gets it and they get involved and make a huge difference.
This is a global health crisis because the World Health Organization told us that estimated 830 women die a day from this crisis, but 200,000 are from sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia. So there is where the disparity comes out. America is not doing well either in comparison to the rest of the, industrialized world, where they're in their 20s. 20 women are dying. As I said, the UK 7, they're in their 20s. So as you can see, it's not just an African problem, it's a
Right.
global health problem. PAs get into the well women's business, right? There are very few of us in the well women's business. The nurses and the midwives have taken over that. And I tell you, as someone who's given birth, you don't get to see the OBGYN doctor unless you're a complicated patient. You see the nurse practitioner who's in that field. You see the midwife that's in that field. Why do we not see PAs in that field? This is one of the crises that we as PAs can also be a part of it. And we can do it.
And
Definitely.
if people want to get involved as being on the board, or they have supplies to donate, I assume that there's a contact form on your website.
There is. You can email to it, and we'll definitely. There's my executive director is very active on checking that. We also have an Amazon list of medical supplies. So if you say, well, that Saibatu Mansaray girl, she looks a little not too on the trustworthy side, that's okay. You don't have to donate your money. Just go on Amazon and you can buy equipment from there, and it's all medical supplies, and it gets shipped here to the clinics. It gets shipped in the States, and then we end up shipping, obviously, here. We also ask one last thing, that defaults your Amazon charity to the Mansaray Foundation. So for every time that you buy something on Amazon, Amazon will take a penny or two off of what you have paid for and donate it to the foundation. $1 goes a long way.
Yeah, I just want to thank you, and I want to say that you are an amazing person, beautiful smile, beautiful person, and you have done so many cool and incredible things. It's been so great to learn about it, and thank you for being such a great representative of PAs and of women in general.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Wow, she has had so many incredible experiences in her career, and she's still out there doing amazing things. Remember, if you'd like to make a difference in the world, then you can get involved with the Mansaray Foundation or become a supporter. If that organization isn't what you're looking for, then maybe consider being involved with Project Cure. If you'd like to learn more, be sure to check out this video